Welcome back. Wanted to spend a little time discussing a formula in Excel which I've found to be very helpful. If you're like myself, from time to time downloading transactional data into Excel, manipulating it, trying to, maybe come up with a new trading strategy, found it's very helpful to be able to identify quickly the largest and smallest numbers within that data set. Now, of course, if it's a small data set, we can just look visually or use some sort of filter or sort function. But when we're using very large data sets, we may not want to do so. And this is how we would use a formula to accomplish the same task. We have a string of 10 random numbers here, 51, 57, 90, all the way down to 85. And we would type in the formula equals large, which calls out the largest number within a data set, C2 to C11. So give us large C2 to C11, comma A2. Cell A2 is the number 1. What this does is it says, give us within this data set C2 to C11 the number 1 largest number, and that's A2. Well, that would be 90, which references the number 1 A2. Now, notice we have dollar signs attached to the C2 to C11. That identifies an absolute reference. So if we were to drag this formula down, this would not change. It would only reference only C2 to C11. But notice in the second cell, we have C2 to C11, comma A3. A3 references the number 2, which tells us, give us the second largest number within that data set, which is 85. The same holds true if we're looking for the smallest numbers. We type in the formula equals small C2 to C11, the same data set, comma A2. Number 1, give us the first smallest, or the ultimate smallest number within that data set, which is 9. The next cell, small C2 to C11, comma A3, give us the second smallest number, which is in this case is number 12. Now, a real world example, let's say we're taking a look at, on the left hand side, S&P 500. We have about 2 weeks of trading data, and we want to find out what's the highest price the S&P 500 had hit during that period of time. We would then type in equals large B2 to B16, comma number 1. Find within B2 to B16, comma 1. Now we can type in A1 as we did in the prior example to reference another cell with the number 1, or we can just type in the number 1 over here. It's the same thing. So large B2 to B16 produces 4305. What is the single largest number within B2 to B16? That's 4305. Let's say we want to find the date that that highest closing price occurred on. We would use an index match function. If you're not familiar with it, please reference our prior video, which goes into a good amount of detail discussing the index match function and really how to put it to use. But essentially what we would do is type in index, which means find, within A2 to A16, which are the dates. Find within the dates the date that corresponds with match, or matching it to C3, which is 4305, as that falls within its own respective range of B2 to B16. So find the date that matches with 4305 as that falls within its own respective range, which is right over here, August 16th. If we were to replace this number 1 with a number 2, large B2 to B16, it would find the date for the second largest, or the second highest price. Same holds true in example number 2. We have 2 weeks of Bitcoin data over here. And we can say, okay, give us, first of all, the smallest or the lowest price that Bitcoin hit during that period of time. Equals small, F2 to F16, comma 1. Identify the number 1 smallest number within this range, 197.97. Now, let's find the date that corresponds to 197.97, which we know is August 30th. Again, we'd use index match. Equals index E2 to E16, referencing the dates. Find within the dates the date that matches with G3 and the position of G3. 197 is found right here, August 30th. So this very easily allows us to identify not only the largest number, the smallest number, but the incremental digits in between, meaning find us the first largest, second largest, the first smallest, the smallest number, the second smallest number. And we can also use that information with an index match formula to then reference another column of information and say, okay, give me the corresponding date that's associated with that highest or lowest price. We can use this formula in many different ways. Let's say we're trying to develop a new trading strategy and we say, okay, well, first show me the highest closing price for a particular stock, but then I also want to see what was the RSI, relative strength index, that was associated with that highest closing price. Well, if you have that data in a spreadsheet, you can very easily accomplish that. Or if we're looking for the lowest closing price on a particular stock and we have another technical indicator, we can identify the first, second, third, etc., smallest numbers within that data range, and then find any other corresponding information that's associated with that level. I encourage you to, download some data on your own spreadsheet and play with these formulas, get familiar with them. I think you'll find them very helpful, in identifying the extremes of data sets, and then, maybe you'll be able to manipulate it further from that point. We hope this has been helpful. We look forward to seeing you back soon.